What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love After Lockup, Season 4, Episode 8, Deny, Deny, Deny. So we start off with Chaz and Bronwyn. So Chaz and Bronwyn, as we saw in the last episode, they had just gotten married as soon as she was released from prison. Now he's going to drop her off at the home that she's going to be paroled to, and living at that home is going to be her friend's baby daddy. So it's just going to be her and the friend's baby daddy living in this house together. And of course, Chaz has a lot of concerns about possibly this guy coming on to Bronwyn. And Chaz is also very concerned about Bronwyn's ex-boyfriend, who, by the way, also was there to meet Bronwyn or to welcome Bronwyn as she was released. So Chaz has a lot going on. He has a lot on his plate. He's going to be so stressed out. He's going to be so full of jealousy. I don't know how he's going to make it when he goes back to Kentucky. So when he drops her off at the baby daddy's house, the friend's baby daddy's house, he wants to spend some time with her because she says she couldn't go to a hotel with him because she has a curfew. So they couldn't do that. So they decide to chill for a while at the house. And you can tell that Chaz obviously, wants to get some hanky panky started with her before the baby daddy comes home. But Bronwyn is resisting him. The only thing she'll do is, barely kiss him, and she won't do anything else with him. They have just gotten married. They're supposed to be in love with each other, but she doesn't want to go any further than kissing him because she says that she doesn't want to disrespect the friend's baby daddy's house. And so she wants to follow all of the rules, even though the guy's not there yet. She wants to follow all of the rules and protocols. And sometimes, you just have to call a thing a thing. Bronwyn just is not that attracted to him. You have to call a thing a thing. We can try to sugarcoat this all day and all night long. We can always try to see the glass half full. We can always try to look at the positive side of things, give the benefit of the doubt until we're blue in the face. But sometimes you have to call a thing a damn thing. And the thing here is that Bronwyn is not physically attracted to Chaz. So while they're canoodling in the bed, his name is Mike. This is the friend's baby daddy and the owner of the home. He comes home. So Bronwyn, hops out of bed and, she's chasing him around, so she can say hi to him. She's like, hi, Mike. Hi, Mike. So we meet Mike. He's he's not that old, but he's probably like in his 40s. He's an, older gentleman, middle-aged or whatever, and he is very, very serious. And it seems like somebody who goes to work, he works hard, he comes home, he wants to relax with a beer, watch some TV, and go to bed. And he doesn't have time for the foolishness. And so he told Bronwyn, he laid out the rules. He was like, I need you to stay clean and sober. I don't want no one spending the night. I don't need your friends coming in and out of my damn house. So, keep it cute, keep it clean, stay sober, and don't turn my house into a whorehouse or a crack house. So it was, very clear that, this was going to be like somewhat of a strict household. So Chaz ends up leaving, and Bronwyn says that she's finally happy because she gets to have a little bit of time to herself and she gets to just kind of decompress and, chillax. Chaz, feels bad about having to leave because he wanted to spend more time with Bronwyn. And when he gets to his hotel, and he had decorated his hotel room, he had laid out flower petals on the bed. He had put signs up in the bathroom or wherever that said just married. He had some cute decorations for her because he thought that they were going to be spending the night together. So it was really sad. He had to scoop up the rose petals, take down the signs. But then I thought to myself, well, why doesn't he just keep them up? Because he will be seeing her tomorrow. I don't think he's leaving for Kentucky the next day. So he will definitely see her tomorrow and they can come back to the hotel to, hang out, and the stuff will still be there for her. So I didn't understand why I had to take him down unless he really was leaving for Kentucky the next day. So Bronwyn calls Aaron, which is her ex-boyfriend. So right there, red flag. Why are you calling your ex-boyfriend that you claim put you in prison? Why are you calling him on your wedding day as soon as your husband leaves? You should have been calling Chaz. If this is all legit, you should have been calling Chaz and making sure that he made it back to the hotel okay. And maybe, whisper some sweet nothings in his ear through the phone and say goodnight to him before you go to bed. But no, you want to pick up the phone. And by the way, where do these prisoners get these phones? As soon as they're released, they all have the latest iPhones. How does this happen? What is going on? So she calls her ex-boyfriend Aaron, and she tells us that Aaron and her are very toxic for each other. That they were really good in bed together, but they fought a lot, and he always was cheating on her. So that relationship wasn't going to work. So why are you calling him? Why are you calling him? I mean, to hear it from you and to hear it from Chaz, this guy put you in prison. Why are you calling him? So they're talking on the phone, and he's questioning this whole relationship. He's telling her, this is not your type of man. Why are you with him? And she says, oh, because I love him and he takes care of me. And he says to her, he says that I hope that, for your sake, that it really works out. But I think that you're setting yourself up for failure. And, this guy's just not your type. And Bronwyn tells him, well, the guys that are my type, they always end up dirtbagging me. So I want to try something different. Okay, that makes a whole lot of sense, Chaz. But you can try something different without trying something that you obviously don't seem that interested in. So, in her confessional, she talks about, Aaron and their history. And then she says in her confessional that this is all, very confusing to her. What are you confused about? I thought you were for sure certain that you wanted to be with Chaz and, you had no time for Aaron. Because the funny thing is, when she was released from prison and Aaron was out there waiting for her, I thought she acted like she was upset that he even showed up. But now she's, talking to him in her cutesy little Betty Boop voice on the phone. And then in her confessional, she's saying that she's so confused about, you're a married woman now. There should be no confusion. You are a married woman. And so you've already made your decision. Clear as day. You chose Chaz. And that's it. There should be no confusion. You're committed now. You exchanged vows. So I don't know what you're confused about, Bronwyn. But all I gotta say is you gotta call a thing when it comes to Bronwyn. And if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, honey, it is Bronwyn trying to have some extracurricular activities with people other than Jazz. Moving on to Indy and Harry. Indy gets on my damn nerves. She really does. Because she's a mother. Because she's a mom. It's not fun and games when you're a mother and you're responsible for another human being. Indy and Harry. So Harry and Indy, they got into that fight at I don't know what that place was. It wasn't rock climbing, whatever that place was. They got into a fight, and because she had seen on his phone the name of a girl that he was texting, and so they went their separate ways. She got in her car, she took off. So this has been, I think they said that happened like a week prior, and so they haven't talked in a week. They haven't seen each other in a week because Harry decided to move out of Sister Lydia's house and move into Sister Carla's house, and Indy still stayed with Lydia. So Indy decides to hit up her psychic. I don't know why, because you saw the name, you saw on the phone he was talking to another female with your own eyeballs. You saw the hearts and stuff around the name Terry on his cell phone. What can a psychic tell you that your own eyeballs didn't? So she calls up her psychic. This is her regular psychic, not a backup or a standby. This is her normal, usual, everyday psychic. And, she needs some insight. And the psychic tells her that basically this is not a good relationship. To put it all in a nutshell and just to get to the bottom line, that there is something fishy going on in this relationship and it might not be the best choice for her. The psychic also tells her that she's been letting Harry take control of the relationship and she needs to have her voice heard and she needs to speak up more. Indy, you needed someone to tell you that? You needed a psychic to tell you that? Excuse me. So next, so we're back to what's his name, Harry, at his sister's house, and the a parole officer calls him. The parole officer says that he received intel that he is not staying at the address that he's supposed to be paroled at, and so Harry needs to give the PO the address of where he's at, and I don't know, whatever. He needs to do what's right, or else the PO is going to issue an arrest warrant for him. Dumb as hell. You have the simplest things to. I mean, they complain about being in prison and they can't wait to get out, but then when they're out, they can't follow the most basic of rules to stay out of prison. So then Harry goes to talk to Indy. He comes over to his sister Lydia's house to talk to Indy, and they go down into the basement, and at first he talks about, his sister betraying him, calling his PO, telling his PO that he wasn't there at the address that he was paroled at. And he was like, my sister really did me dirty. And Indy tells him, but, all you have to do is just be at the address you're supposed to be at. Just follow the damn rules. It's so simple. You brought this on yourself. Don't be mad at your sister. You brought this on to yourself. So then they start talking about their relationship. She asks him, so where were you? He doesn't say anything. Were you with Terry? He says that he didn't want to talk about it. So he's trying to avoid the whole topic. So right there should tell her, boom, he is with another female. Maybe it's Terry, maybe it's Mary, maybe it's Carrie, but it's somebody other than you, Indy. So right there's no more discussion. Pack your bags, get your daughter, and go back home to Maryland. There's nothing else to talk about. There is no reason to argue with this fool. None of that. Just leave. You're not married to him. You don't have a kid with him. Just go. It's over, Indy. It's done. It's over. So then she starts telling him how, I moved all the way from Maryland to be here with you, and you don't even want to spend time with me, which is true. He has spent more time with the mother of his child and Terry and whoever else than he has with her. So, I made this huge sacrifice for you, and you're not even around to be with me. And he's just like, well, how come you never think about what I went through? How come you don't think about what I go through? Put yourself in my shoes. Whatever, go ahead and deflect. Try to put the blame on other people. Try to bring pity upon yourself. That probably works with your mother, Harry, but it's not going to work on anybody else. This whole thing of, feel sorry for me, woe is me, put yourself in my shoes, think about what I've been through. You are where you're at because of the choices that you made. No one put you there. Indy, you are where you're at because of the choices that you made, sweetheart. Nobody put a gun to your head and forced you to move to Ohio to be with this person. So this whole argument was so pointless and so useless because he's not saying the things that he's supposed to say if he wanted to be with her. And she's not making the decision that she needs to make to get out of this mess. So she then says to him, what does she say that I thought was interesting? She says, well, you made me promises. You made me so many promises and you're not fulfilling any of those promises. You believed him, Indy? Like, for real, this is a person who likes to deceive people for a living. He steals. He's a thief. He's hurting people. And you're going to rely on his promises? This person who put himself in prison because he's out there breaking the law, victimizing people. His promises are the ones that you relied on. Anyway, so she's like, well, you made me promises. You're not living up to your promises. And then this is what really got me heated was when she said to him, and you don't even spend time with Coco, and she sees you as a father figure. Girl, that is nobody's fault but your own. I know if one thing's for certain and one thing's for sure and two things for certain. Harry, not once ever did he beg to be Coco's father figure. He not once got down on his hands and knees and begged you to be Coco's dad. He never once not did that. You're the one that did that. You're the one that filled up your child's head. This is daddy, poppy, poppy, daddy, whatever the hell you want your child to call him. This is your poppy, daddy, poppy, daddy, poppy, daddy. We're going to go see poppy, daddy. Poppy, daddy's coming home. That's all you, Indy. You're the one that built up this expectation in your child. It wasn't Harry. It was all you. So that right there was the last straw for him. Like, why would he want to be a father to your child? He has his own kid that he needs to worry about. He doesn't have time to worry about Coco. Coco is not his kid, and he's not wanting to be with you, spend time with you, live with you, marry you. So he owes nothing to Coco. He owes her absolutely nothing. You're the one that needs to explain to your daughter why Poppy Daddy is no longer around or doesn't want to spend any time with her. So that's another thing that gets me, is that she's going to use her child to guilt him into staying with her. But you picked the wrong one, because Harry didn't give a damn about that. He did not flinch. He didn't blink. He wasn't like, oh man, Coco. Nope. He just kept it moving. He was like, okay, whatever. So they're going back and forth. They're really upset. In her confessional, she says, that she wasted her time. He's not consistent. And he's a compulsive liar. Okay, so you know all of that. So you know what to do now. Get up and leave. So after they're done arguing, or in the middle of their arguing, she gets up and she leaves. And she goes up to the bathroom to go cry. Okay, get all that crying out. Do what you got to do, girl. As soon as you are done crying, please, sweetheart, get into your car, get your daughter, and go back to Ohio and send for your stuff later. Moving on to Rick and Radine. I'm beginning to seriously worry about Rick. I really worry about people who are this deep in delusion. So Rick gives Radine some directions to show up at some place, and it's going to be a big surprise. And what it is he directs her to his friend's home, because his friend has a nice pool and a hot tub, and he wants to spend the day with her, canoodling in the pool and the hot tub. So she shows up, and she's like, oh my God, what is this? Where am I? Blah, blah, blah. And he tells her, this is my friend's house, and he's letting me use his backyard for the day. So he goes in and he comes out with like several brand new bathing suits. And he's like, I got you some bathing suits. Just pick whatever you want. So she goes in and she picks a red bikini. And he sees her. And, like it was like in the cartoons when like the boy cartoon sees a girl that he really likes and his eyes pop out of his head. Yeah, that's the moment that we had with Rick. So they get into the hot tub, and, he spends this whole, I don't know how long they were in that hot tub. He spent the whole entire time trying to get romantic with her, trying to make out with her. He was like doing the most. What did he do? He was eating rose petals, and she was like, why did you just eat that rose petal? And there was no explanation. He was eating rose petals. He's eating toe knuckles because he's got her foot in his mouth. He was doing the most. And she kept on like pushing him away, and it seemed like she really wasn't that interested in doing anything like that with him. They would kiss a little bit, and if he tried to go further, she'd be like, stop, Nick, stop, Rick, stop, Rick, get my foot out of your mouth, stop, Rick. So, but he was trying hard, and it went nowhere. And then I think at some point he took off his damn swimming trunks, and he was like twirling them around, and they were heavy from the water. So he was like twirling them and twirling them and twirling them. And I'm telling you, Rick completely embarrassed himself in this particular scene. Before I move on to the next scene, let me make sure that I covered that embarrassment all the way through. He tried really hard to get things started, and she just wasn't feeling it. So in her confessional, Radine says that she does find Rick attractive. And I was like, say what now? You do? She says she finds Rick attractive. He has really pretty green eyes, but she says for an older guy, he's not fit. So you don't find him attractive. So you don't find him attractive. If you're going to point out that his whole body turns you off because he's not, fit, he's not cut, or whatever the hell you're looking for, then you're not attracted to him. So he has pretty eyes. It doesn't mean that you're attracted to him. You're not, y'all, sometimes you got to call a thing a thing. Radine is not attracted to Rick. I don't care how pretty his green eyes are. I don't care how many rose petals he eats. Radine is not attracted to Rick. Like I said, I think Radine is a lesbian, and I need her just to come to terms with that and be okay with that. I don't understand why we are beating around the bush when it comes to that. She's not attracted to Rick. She wants nothing to do with Rick physically. I know they were dating before she went to prison, and probably back then he was still supporting her in some way, in some shape or fashion. He was supporting her lifestyle, her drug habits, or something. She went to prison. Maybe she didn't really discover who she was in prison, but she was still stringing him along. Now that she's out, it's time to pay the piper. Now that you're out of prison, Radine, it is time to pay the piper. but she's not going to do it. And let's move on. So now Rick is back home again without Radine. He's back at his house and he's talking to his roommate. And I forgot her name. I know it starts with an R, but I forgot her name. So he's talking to his roommate, talking about Radine. And the roommate is like, where is she? You know, I've hardly seen her since she's been out. And she's supposed to be, remember how Radine was supposed to be living with Rick and the roommate? And she's like, I don't even see her. Like, what's going on here? And in her confessional, even though she did it really crudely, she talked about how, if anything, you know, Radine and Rick should be all over each other. They should be glued together because they've been waiting for each other for 4 whole years. But you don't see hide or tail of Radine. So she's wondering why they're not spending time together, and she's questioning Rick about that. Like, you know, what's up with that? And Rick tells her, well, you know, we spent the whole day together at, you know, my friend's pool, and you really should have seen us. You know, I mean, this is what he said. She really proved to me today that she's into me, or something to that effect. How does she prove that? By pushing you away and practically running out of the hot tub from you? Like, how does she prove that she was really into you today? And then he says to his roommate, you know, if only you could see us together, you'd understand. And she is like, yeah, I would love to understand, but I never see y'all together. Like, what is going on? So Radine then, so we're done with Rick. So then Radine, we see her, she's at a coffee shop, and she gets her coffee and she sits down because first of all, it was at night. And she said that it's easy for her to call Kay, and Kay can call her at any time because of the facility that she's currently at, or maybe it was the facility that she was at previously. I don't know, but she wants to talk to her woman, Kay. So she sits down, and when she opens her phone, you can see that she has Kay as her screensaver, not Rick. You got to call a thing a thing. So she has Kay as her screensaver. She calls the facility. They tell her that their hours of operation are over and done with, so she can't talk to Kay. And I think this was all planned. It didn't seem that spontaneous, but she refers to Kay as her wife. I think when she was calling the prison, she tells the guy on the phone, yeah, I'm trying to get in contact with my wife, or I'm trying to locate my wife. And then the producers were like, okay, your wife, y'all are married? And this is the big secret that she's been keeping from Rick, is that she's actually legally married to Radine. Now, I mean, legally married to Kay. When she tells Rick that she is legally married to Kay, I cannot wait, because if nothing else does it, that should do it for him. But I mean, you're going to be embarrassed because your girlfriend that you've planned to marry, Rick, is going to tell you that she's married to her own girlfriend. And you're going to be completely embarrassed, and only because of the fact that you don't want to recognize what's going on in front of you, that this girl is not into you. She doesn't like you. She doesn't want you. She's not attracted to you. She doesn't want to be your wife. She doesn't want to be your girlfriend. She barely wants to be your friend. So yeah, I can't wait for that part. Moving on to Kayla and Martell. So Kayla is on her way to pick up Martell from the halfway house. He's finally released after 2 months from the halfway house. She's very excited because, you know, she's thinking about how he's going to be moving in with her at her apartment. They're going to play house and eventually, I guess, I don't know, get married or something. So she goes to pick him up. She's 20 minutes late. And when she arrives at the place where he was waiting for her, he was already upset because she was late. So they go back and forth on that. So she's like, oh, shut up. Just give me a hug. So they hug it out. And then she tells him, so do you want to drive? Does he have a license? Like, why are you even asking him if he wants to drive? He just came out of a halfway house. How would he have a driver's license? Like, why are you letting him? Anyways, stupid. I can't spend too much time on stupidity. She's asking this possibly unlicensed driver if he wants to drive her car. Of course, he says yes. So she thinks they're going to go get breakfast and maybe go spend time at the apartment. But he's like, what I really want to do, and he tells her this, what I really want to do is I want to go to a strip club. That's what he said to her. He goes, I want to go to a strip club. And this is the guy, Kayla, that you said had, you know, he's sown his wild oats. He has all of that energy completely out of his system. He's not, you know, the big man whore that he wants, that he appears to be to the rest of us. He's not that anymore. He's completely calmed down. He wants to be committed. He wants to be settled down with you. This man who just told you that he wants to go to a strip club. This is the man that you said he's ready to be committed. He's ready to settle down with you. Gotcha. So she thinks that they're going to be, she's talking about, oh, yeah, I know this really nice place for us to go eat, blah, 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 talking about this restaurant. And he gets on the phone and he calls his barber and he's like, yeah, I'm on my way. I know I'm late, but I'm going to be there. So he's going to go get his haircut at the barber shop. He ain't going to breakfast with you. You missed that memo, Kayla. So they get to the barber shop because he wants to be, clean and cut and lined up and edged up for the strip club. So they get to the barber shop and he tells her, you don't have to come in. And she's like, what? I don't have to come in. I'm the one that drove you here. You're going to tell me, oh, you used my car to get here and you're going to tell me that I don't have to come in. So she gets upset. He gets out the car. She gets on the driver's side and she hightails it out of there. Why? For what? Why are you hightailing it? Girl, turn around. Get back into that parking lot, do what your man told you to do, sit there and wait for him to get his haircut, and then drive him to the strip club because you're just going to come back to him. You're just going to come back to him. She acts all big and bad now, but then she's going to be calling him and texting him and, where you at and why'd you do? They're going to have this whole thing. And then after he's, been at the strip clubs and did all that he could possibly do, all that you can possibly imagine at the strip club, he's going to come crawling back when he's tired and, whatever. He's going to come crawling back to her, and, oh, you better apologize. And he's going to apologize. And then we're going to start this cycle all over again. So you hightailing it out of there and screeching your tires like you're making a statement doesn't mean anything to us, Kayla, because we know how this game goes. You're just going to come right back to him. But anyways, for the time being, this is what he wanted. He wanted to start something with her. He wanted to get her riled up so that he can use her to get to the barber shop. And then when he's all lined up and edged up, he'll call his other female, probably, most likely, or his homeboys or whoever to come pick him up. And they'll go do whatever all day and all night. So he played you again for the second time. He played you. So I'm thinking to myself, when he said to her, when she was like, yeah, let's go get breakfast. And then he said to her, I want to go to a strip club. That was his first attempt to get her riled up. But she didn't react to that. She reacted to him saying, wait in the car, because he knew that was going to get her mad. Like, why would you tell her to wait in the car? Why can't she come into the barbershop with you? You got there in her car, so why can't she come in there with you? So when he said wait in the car, he probably knew that was what was going to do it for her. And so he got rid of her because that's what he really wanted. He got rid of her, and who knows what's going to happen after that. We shall see the next episode. Taylor and Chance. Okay, Taylor and Chance, there's not much going on here except that he went to go find an engagement ring for Taylor, and he's gonna buy rings for the girls, and he's ready to get married, and he's there with one of his homeboys, and his friend is like, are you sure you really want to do this? You just got out of prison, you're not even done sowing your wild oats. Do you really want to hurry up and get married as soon as you get released from prison? He was like, look, he's like, I'm done. I'm done with the whole chasing women, going from girl to girl. He says cute girls are a dime a dozen, but, when you find the right girl, you need to keep her, or whatever he said. So to him, he's going to make it look like, this is the woman that he wants to be with. Whatever, he wants to marry her. So when he gets home, no, I think he had to come home quickly because she was not feeling well. So he gets home. She's in a whole lot of pain. She's grabbing her side, y'all. Okay, keep that in mind. She's grabbing her side. So she's in a whole lot of pain. They go to the emergency room. They don't know exactly what's wrong with her. They run a whole bunch of tests. They give her a CAT scan. They do all this stuff. He was hoping, I think, that she was pregnant, but she wasn't. So finally, the conclusion is she had an infection. Where? They didn't say. But she had an infection. She's grabbing her side. So something going on in that region of the body. She had an infection from rough adult activities with Chance. An infection. Now, if they would have said that she was like had a really bad bruise or a sprained, a pulled muscle or something like that, okay, that makes sense. The activities got kind of rough and wild, and you pulled a muscle or whatever, broke a bone or whatever. But how do you get an infection from rough adult activities? What's going on here? I needed more. I needed more of an explanation of how she got an infection. I'm assuming bacterial infection in her side from doing that. How did that happen? And so they kind of make a joke about it. And she says something like, what did she say? How did she put it? She said, I had to get a shot in my butt because you put a shot in my, like, what? I needed more explanation. Or maybe I don't. Maybe this is the things that nightmares are made of. I don't know. But she got an infection, y'all. Moving on to Lacy and Antoine. So Lacy, after the whole fiasco with the car, he had to leave without getting his car because neither one of them wanted to put the car in their name. They have the money to get the car. They have the money for the down payment, but because he doesn't want to put the car in his name and she doesn't want to put the car in her name, they had to leave without the car. So he's really upset about that. So I guess to make him feel better, she takes him to like a really secluded place. I don't know where the hell they were. I don't know if it was just some random spot in the woods or if it was at a park. I don't know where they were, but it was secluded. And I guess she was trying to be romantic and he was not in the mood. He was really pissed off. He was like, I don't want to be here. I just want to go home. And then she gets upset because he's not appreciative of all the stuff that she's done for him. Okay, whatever, Lacy. So if he's unappreciative, send him back to his mother. Like, anyways, so he just wants to go home. So they finally go home and they're arguing kind of. And she's like, are you going to say you're sorry? And he's like, for what? And she was like, for how you treated me today. You're not showing any kind of appreciation for all that I've done for you, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, absolutely not, fool. He called her a fool. One of my biggest pet peeves is when men call their women, I don't care if it's your mother, your girlfriend, your wife, your sister, any female. I hate it when men called women these names that they would call their homeboys, like calling them bruh, fool, dog, bro. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like it when men refer to women as like that. I don't like it at all. We get disrespected enough. Call me by my name. If you can't do nothing else for me, just call me by my name. So he's like, absolutely not, fool. So he then, they're arguing, whatever. He's upset with her. She's upset with him. So I guess he one-ups her because I don't know. Okay, so like in the very beginning of the season, I think it was like the very first episode when Lacy was talking about her relationship with Antoine. She wanted to test his loyalty or test his fidelity. So she wrote out this letter as if it was coming from another female. And she wanted to basically catfish him or trick him into thinking that this female was interested in him. So she wanted to see, how he was going to react. So she wrote out the letter. She never heard back. And she put like her friend's address or whatever the hell. So she thought she was being real slick. Well, this idiot never changed her handwriting. And I think she writes some letters in jail all the time, but she never thought either to type it up or change her handwriting. So what he did was he pulled out that letter because he had it with him, and he took out a piece of paper that it was like a grocery list. It had her handwriting on it. And so he was like, yeah, and you're writing me fake letters while I'm in prison. You're writing letters, trying to catch me cheating or whatever. And then he shows her, it's like, this is a letter that you wrote me, but you wanted to make it look like it came from another female. And this is your handwriting on the grocery list. And he puts them side by side. And he's like, look, the handwriting's the same. The handwriting's the same. So she got caught. She had nothing to say to that. She had nowhere to defend herself. So she was like, oh, okay. So that's the only reason why you didn't respond back. It's because you knew that it was me. Yeah, your plan failed. It was a huge fail, Lacy. So the producer asked him, well, if you were to cheat on Lacy, would you ever tell her? And he's like, no, never. He says the first rule is to deny. I would never tell her if I was cheating on her. Well, that night he ended up sleeping on the couch. The next day, he comes he wants to be back. He wants to be let back into the bedroom. He gets into the bed with her. They're talking, and she's like, I need you to apologize to me if we're going to move forward. He's like, okay, whatever, girls. I'm sorry. Can we move on now? That's how he apologized. And so she was talking in the confessional. She says, when he was in prison, we had such a good time. We would always laugh and joke with each other. But now that he's been released, he's so different. We saw this coming. I'm not sure why you didn't, Lacey. So she said, he's so different now that he's free. He's so different now. So it's a lot for him. She understands because he was in the hole for like 2 or 3 years or something. He was in the hole for a very long time. So he's like very jittery around people. And this is also, he tells her that this is also the very first time that he has like lived away from his mom while being out of prison. So he was either in prison or living with his mom. So living with Lacey in this house is a completely different experience for him. And so he's really trying to adjust to day-to-day living. So then they squash their beef, and she tells him, so do you want to meet my sister? I'm thinking we can go meet my sister today. Obviously he doesn't want to do that. And so he was like, well, I was really wanting to meet up with one of my homeboys because he just got released from prison as well. And yeah, I really wanted to meet up with him, and maybe, we'll hook up later for me to meet your sister. And so she's like, okay. And, she's kind of worried about him hanging out with his friends because he's going to probably go back into his old habits. And then he tells her, yeah, but I kind of need a ride to my friend's house. And she's like, oh, so that's why you wanted to come back in here and try to make nice with me, because you just need a ride. But she is going to take him. So what kind of relationship is this? I mean, she really is kind of like motherly to him. Like, she needs to go drop him off at his friend's house. Okay, Lacey. I don't have much to say about Lacey. Lacy and Antoine. I don't really know what to say about these people. I think he has a lot of problems. I think Antoine has a lot of problems. He seems very much like on the edge. He never seems like relaxed or chill. He's always like, and it's understandable. I know why, because, his experience in prison. I just don't think he's ready. I think she needs to send him back to his mom. He needs to, or somewhere. I don't know. Or she needs to just be his friend right now. If going to his mom is too toxic because his mother's an alcoholic, if that's too toxic for him, maybe he can stay with Lacey, but Lacey needs to be more of a friend to him and not a girlfriend, and not trying to pressure him into getting married and have babies. He has a long way to go. So she needs to kind of like work with him as a friend, as a person to support him as he reacclimates back into regular society. But trying to be his woman and all that, no, she doesn't need to do that. She doesn't really need to do that. I don't really see anything that wrong with Antoine, but I think that his issues are separate and apart from this relationship that he's having with Lacey. I think the relationship is not necessary, but I think he has other issues that he needs to deal with. He needs to make sure that he's really completely sober, that he's got a hold of that, and that he can like get a job and get back into society and get used to being around people, because that's like one of his biggest issues is this anxiety that he has whenever he's around other people, because he was in isolation for a very long time. So he needs to take care of that before Lacey can even think about making him her man and the father of her kids. He has a long way to go. He's kind of like someone who came back from war. You know what I mean? Like a war vet. He has to readjust. He has to really readjust to regular society. That is my review. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this content. If you don't worry about it. And I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.